Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mark with Limo Marketer, and I'm joined here by Eric Okon of BLS, based in New York. Thanks for joining me, Eric.
My pleasure. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I actually asked Eric about a week and a half ago. We had worked together for a few months, and on this show, I've got a lot of smaller operators, typically 1 to 5 vehicles or so. And I thought it would be really cool to get the perspective of a very large company, especially for the viewers of this channel, because a lot of them are looking for affiliate work. And Eric has lots of experience hiring affiliates. And so I did a little background research on you, Eric. So currently you're a second generation company, right? BLS. What year did your company start, and how did it was your father, right, who got it?
Yeah, it was my parents. So BLS was started by my dad. He was an immigrant, like most people that go out and start driving a car, and he
Yeah.
didn't know the English language very well, so he started driving a car. And he quickly found that he was very good at it, and he started by literally hustling the Empire State Building, and that's how he started to get his first clients. He was actually one of the first people in the industry to put a bar in the back of one of his stretches. So he actually built the bar. I actually have it in my basement, and it folds down and it has hinges on it, and he used to put peanuts in it, and he would put some booze in it. And then all of the people that all the other limo drivers on the street, they were like, man, why is everyone lining up out of Okon's cars? And then my dad would show them that he had like a little bar with peanuts and stuff like that. So that was the type of thinking that he always instilled into us as a company, to think outside the box. And eventually he wasn't, English was not his first language, so he needed help inside the office. My mom, who was a substitute history teacher, he went to her and said, Phyllis, if you can start getting clients and start dispatching, I'll handle the outside, I'll handle the cars and the drivers, you handle the inside. And so their story began. My mom basically had my brother, which BLS started about 50 years ago. My brother just
Wow.
turned 45. So they started about 5 years before he was born. Then then I was born in 83. And they basically just built it one car at a time, no investors. We're still family owned to this day, which has been a struggle through COVID. It's been a struggle through, now we're dealing with the writer's strike. A large portion of our business is entertainment based, which is film and TV production. So we're getting our butts kicked a little bit, but like anything else, you just got to roll with the punches. Yeah, that's the real short of it. Originally, when they started, they were 4-star limousine.
Oh,
And
okay.
they were content being in New York, being, the the number one choice in New York for that type of transportation. They had a bunch of late night shows. They were doing well. So this guy on the West Coast named BLS reached out to my parents saying that Davel just went bi-coastal. And that was David Klein back in the day. When he owned Davel, he went bi-coastal, and the original BLS was getting their lunch eaten by Davel. So the original BLS came out and reached out to us and said, would you be my New York affiliate? And my parents said, okay, we'll give it a shot. So my parents changed the company name to BLS, and they became the New York affiliate of this BLS limousine service of LA. Eventually, BLS LA went out of business, and he made some poor business decisions. He got some green Oldsmobiles, and he went into buses, and he just made some poor business decisions. And then eventually, my parents went on a limb, and they opened up their own service in LA. They were opened up in New York and LA for quite some time. Then my brother and I came in, and in 2002, we opened up our first new office in Las Vegas. So in the back of LCT magazine, there was a classified ad that said Nevada limousine service for sale. And we gave it a call. I'll never forget it. It was on Oscar night of 2000. And yeah, it was 2002. Oscar night 2002. It was right after 9/11. So the industry recovered, and everything was going great. And then we called. One thing led to another, and we opened up our first office in Las Vegas. That was a completely different business than we were used to, because while what New York and LA do is corporate and it's reserved and it's a lot of publicity and it's a lot of high-end event type work,
Yes.
Vegas was leisure and it was completely different. So that birthed our leisure division of our company. So that's how we handle a lot of resorts and hotels and concierge desks and whatnot. And Mark, you can feel free to interrupt me because I can go on
No,
and on.
no, no. Keep going. This is great. No, no.
Yeah.
So you guys essentially, so it was pretty much just New York though when it was your dad, and then you and your brother are the ones who kind of like, hey, let's look at these different markets, or
Well,
did you?
New York, LA was my parents. So LA was my parents, and then when my brother and I came into the business, basically in around 2000, um, uh, I stopped college early. I couldn't do it, so that's fine.
It
You don't
worked out.
you don't need college to succeed in life. I don't believe. And
Yeah.
so I came in around the same time as my brother, and we always had big dreams. We always were looking up to the biggest operators in the world. At that time, Cary was public. So we were always looking at them as kind of the benchmark of what we wanted to be. And that dream has never been lost. Today, we have about 10 locations across the world. We just opened up in London. And, it's just done through connecting. And our number one philosophy at BLS, and we try to impart this on all of our employees, but our number one philosophy is treat everybody, and that includes affiliates, that includes employees, that includes your coworker, that includes clients. Treat everybody like your number one client. If you're going to
Yeah.
treat everybody like your number one client, then you will succeed, no doubt. But if you're going to treat a vendor like they're beneath you, and listen, it's hard. The bigger you grow, the less control that you have, and the slower things move. So it's very difficult to keep that quality control going. But that's the whole point: is that you have to keep that quality control going to maintain the standards um, that you believe in across the board.
So I'm curious. I have a small business, a few employees. How do you instill that culture and those values
Hmm.
as you grow?
Hmm.
I how
Yeah,
how is that done?
I think in business and in life in general, you're always selling. And I don't look at it as a sleazy tactic. I think that you have to sell to get what you want. So whether it's your spouse, whether it's your kids, whether it's the teacher or for your kids or the coach, you always have to show your best face. And you're always selling. So and like I said, that goes back to treating everybody like your number one client. You have
Yes.
to be good, and I think that if you lead with compassion and you lead with empathy, that will go across. And you have to, there's a saying: hiring is guessing and firing is knowing. So
Yeah.
nobody is ever going to do it as good as you, but you are not going to grow if you do everything yourself.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And listen, for some people, they like doing everything themselves. They like making the living that they're having. They like having no employees or two employees or three employees. But if you want to grow and you want to scale, you have to give up control, and things will not be as good as you do it. But you just have to train, just like how you go and you train your chauffeur, or you go and you train your reservation agent. You have to train somebody to be a manager, and not everybody can be a manager. Managing
Yeah.
people is a completely different ball game from dispatching rides. You have to know how to manage people.
You typically promote from within? Do you or
In the beginning, when my brother and I first started, and when my parents were growing the business, that's typically how they did it. The larger we got, the more resources we had to bring in people that had experience. For the first salesperson we ever hired was in 2008.
wow.
No, wait. Yeah. Yeah. No, wait. What year is it? No, I'm sorry. 2018. We did not
Wow.
hire any salespeople until 2018. BLS was built completely on referrals, was built completely on my mom, who is still the best salesperson that I know. That's how BLS was built. It was built mostly on referrals and just giving good service. We did not hire, we dabbled in it, but we didn't go all in on salespeople until we figured out a great compensation system, and then we figured out um, how it all works. It was a lot of trial and error, and what we figured out was that you're going to go through a lot of salespeople until you get the right one.
Yeah, totally. That's incredible. So for the first 45 or so years,
Yeah,
or 45 years, you didn't
45
have
years. Yeah.
any
No,
salespeople.
no, 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 no. So when we decided, we had account managers, we had people that would take care of accounts, but we never had people actively going to try and sell. That was my brother, and that was my mom and my aunt. They were they would go out and they would sell, but obviously, like I said before, they could only do so much. So we had to, you know, and the first person that we hired, he sold us. And that's how we knew that he was going to
Yeah.
be the right fit. And and he was the first, and we got very lucky with him. And then we got very lucky with our second person, and then it was touch and go for a while, and then it just keeps growing. And then you try, and then if it doesn't work, you have to part ways. But that's with anybody. That's with a dispatcher. That's with a chauffeur. But the main thing is that you have to try, and the more you network, the more you put yourself in opportunities to actually go and meet these types of people that you want to hire. And
Yeah.
it could be with your local chamber of commerce. It could be going to a private aviation um, networking event. It could be the LC, it could be the chauffeur driven show. It could
Yeah.
be the business travel shows. It's networking. You never know what is going to happen. We've hired former clients as salespeople now because we cultivated relationships for so long. And even so, that salesperson that we have working for us wasn't even allowed to use us at his current company, but we still kept in touch. We never burned any bridges, and it's just, it's
Yeah.
hard work. Nothing is built in a day. It takes forever. And then, the setbacks is where you learn everything.
Yeah. That is wild though, that no real sales for that long. It
Mhm.
just goes to show you guys, you have like the service that gets lots of referrals, which
Yep.
I mean, that's fascinating. I have so many questions.
No, please.
One thing I wanted to ask is, when you decide to go into another market, like when you go into that market, are you doing it through acquisition? It sounds like that's what you did in Vegas, correct?
We did that in Vegas because that's pretty much the only way you can open up in Vegas. Vegas is a very different market in that respect, where the other limousine services basically have to approve you to allow you to open in. So to allow you to enter into that market as a certified operator. Very difficult, excuse me, very costly. Um,
Okay.
but it is doable if you have patience. We started out with a 15 car license. Then you have to apply for more vehicles. And again, all the other operators have to approve that. So you have to play very nice in the sandbox, and you have to negotiate. And then eventually, our fleet just grew from there. And we're currently in process now applying for more vehicles because that's just the way the market goes from there. But if you think that you're just going to go and open up in Las Vegas, it's just not going to happen. Uber did it, but that's because they came with $1 billion. So that's
Sure.
not, it's a different, completely different ball game. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Isn't New York, because I had someone on last week, isn't New York
New York is
somewhat
capped.
similar where there's certain
Yeah,
number of licenses they give out?
yeah, New York is capped. New
Are
York is
those
capped.
the only two markets in the US that are like that? Or is
New Orleans has something similar where you have to have a certain amount of stretch. It has to be a ratio um of stretches to sedans and SUVs. Like for every, and I'm probably completely off base here, but for every SUV that you have to have a stretch or something like that, which it's really outdated. And again, somebody in the comments, please let me know what the deal is in New Orleans, but I know it's like that. Um, in every market it's all the same. If you can figure out the labor and you can figure out the local regulation,
yeah,
you can pretty much open up wherever you want. And then you need the people. You need somebody that knows the local regulation, and you need somebody that knows how to get the business in that market. If you can figure out those two things, you'll succeed. But again, that takes a lot of time, and it takes sacrifice to grow because you pay yourself less.
yeah,
Um, and but it's worth it because in the end, if there is ever an end game to growing, I haven't stopped yet. If
yeah,
there is ever an end game, then you get the payoff as the owner.
sure. So in Vegas, you acquired that business, which
Yeah,
was really the only way to get your foot in the door.
yeah.
For these other markets, though, you're
We
just
opened up.
putting
Yeah, we
people out there
yeah we
and
opened up
vehicles.
from the ground up. We put feelers out there in our network to hire experienced operations managers or experienced salespeople.
Okay.
Salespeople are harder to come by, in my opinion. Operations people you can come, but it has to be the right culture fit for them to come on board.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we did it ground up. Takes a lot of time learning the local regulation. It's start and stop. It's getting a place to rent, paying 4 months of rent, 5 months of rent before you're even able to open, because you have to fill out paperwork, and and it just takes time, especially since COVID happened. uh all of dealing with local government has really slowed down immensely. And but we just opened up in London. It's the same thing as like opening up anywhere else. It's just takes time, money, and patience.
When does it make more sense? I'm assuming you guys must use affiliates. I mean, what percent of the rides you guys deliver is it actually your vehicles? And I'm assuming, because I rode a BLS vehicle, by the way, when I was in Vegas,
Oh,
which
did
was
you really?
cool.
Cool.
Yeah. But what percentage of the rides you're doing are the vehicles you guys own, and what percentage are
It just dep
affiliates?
it just depends. It depends upon the market. It depends upon the season. It depends upon a lot of different things. When we go and open up into the market, it's never to cut out the affiliate. We're not going to go into that market and go put 100 cars on the road. A, because
Yeah.
it just doesn't make financial sense to do that. But the old adage in this game is that when it's slow, you have too many cars. When it's busy, you have too few cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we whenever we go into the market, the goal is to grow, and it's to have our footprint there. That's going to make our customers feel comfortable. It's going to allow us to get new business, and then it will allow us to grow our affiliate network there, because that's the goal. We will never go into a market and then not continue using an affiliate. If anything, they're probably going to get more business, and we've done that time and time again in all the markets where we open, because we want to grow.
Sure. And you want to have that
Can't do
strong
it all
network.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah. And if you
yeah,
had the reputation of going in and then cutting off all the affiliates, and
yeah. No,
that wouldn't work,
no,
right?
no, 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 no. That's not our MO. We tread very lightly. We have conversations with our affiliates before we go, and we're going to do it. I mean, right now we're definitely on a pause with that. We have our hands full.
Yeah.
And the I'll mention it again. The writer and the actor strike in LA is just put a pin in. You know,
Really? So
yeah, it
you
sucks.
do a lot with the entertainment industry,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah. That was my parents' bread and butter. My mom basically got a Los Angeles Yellow Pages back in the day, and she called every single studio. And
Wow.
yeah, she called
History
every
teacher, you said.
history teacher,
And
and
she's doing cold calls. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
No, we all still do cold calls. I mean, it's just cold emails, cold calls, cold LinkedIn messaging, the whole
Yes.
9 yards. That's just what it's all about. But yeah, when she first got started, she literally went from A to Z, like Amazon. And she went in the yellow pages, and she had an egg timer, and then she would call, and it was just endearing. Her, to sell, you have to have a shtick, and it can't be all about your product. You have to connect with people on a human level, and basically you have to talk about everything but business. And back when she was selling, it was my brother and I in the background. We were screaming, we were just got home from school, or we were throwing up, or she had to change a diaper. And that's how she connected with the bookers who were in the same situation as she
Oh,
was. And it just kind of grew from there. And while I'll if you want, she'd probably be happy to come onto your show and tell her side of the story.
totally.
But yeah, she
That's
she loves
fascinating.
she loves this stuff. But no, she's a multifaceted woman. But she tells a story that she would go into these clients' offices, and the dudes in the back would be, shaking hands and making deals, and she would be out with the secretaries, connecting with them, and the secretaries were the ones that were booking the cars.
That's brilliant. That's
So
brilliant. I
yeah,
never really thought about that. That's who
yeah,
you need to really
yeah.
make an impression with, right? And
Mhm.
who better to do it than someone who's probably in the same stage of life, has a few young kids, and they
Yep.
see her and they want to help out. Wow.
Our client, more times than not, is the booker and not the passenger.
Yes.
You have to keep the booker happy, especially in the corporate world,
Wow.
because
What
listen,
an insight that is.
listen, it's all the same cars and it's all the same drivers. We're not buying our Escalades or our Cadillac XT5s from a magical land. Our competitors are buying them from the same dealership, same make, same model.
Yeah.
So that's where it's all the same. We have the same technology, it's the same text messaging, it's the same dispatch, everything's all the same. So what you have to distinguish yourself with is you. You are what is going to sell your company. It's not the equipment. If it was the equipment, we'd be all screwed
Yeah.
because it's just not the way that it works. It's you. You are the selling point. It's you talking about you. You talking about your family. Giving away all my secrets. It's you talk, and we tell our clients this. We will literally go to a corporate client, and every other person in there will go in and say, "We have the best cars and the best drivers," and we're going to go in and say we have the same shit as everybody else. But where we're better is that when there's a problem, because there's always going to be a problem, we're here to help clean it up. And if you can go in with that, you'll you know you'll break through the bullshit barrier.
I love it because you're essentially stating what's already on everyone's minds. Look, how are you guys different? Look, we're not really. We have the same vehicles, the same this, the same that. Here's how we are different.
Yep.
Wow, that's quite the pitch.
Yep.
And it's honest too, which is the
Yeah, no, listen, you have to
disarming.
be honest. If you're gonna lie, they're gonna see right through it. Eventually you're gonna get caught. It's never gonna work. Don't make up how big you are. Don't, you can say
Yes,
that you have a great network. You can say lots of different things that are true, but eventually you're gonna get caught if you're gonna make things up.
I see that a lot. A lot of my clients are, or I wouldn't say the majority, but many of them are smaller. They're just starting out. And, a lot of times they'll feature every vehicle, a huge fleet on their website. They don't own them, whatever. That's fine. I understand that. But yeah, most clients, they just want to make sure they're serviced. They don't necessarily care that like you own all these vehicles. So, and many times it can be disarming when you are on. Look, I'm new. I'm hungry, and I'll tell you what. I'll give you my personal cell phone number. If there's ever a problem, I will handle it.
Many
And
many clients have my cell phone number. And listen, my day at BLS is not dealing with the 99.9% of things that go well. My day is dealt with the 0.1% of things that are going wrong. So if it hits my inbox, it's a shit show. We have to go and fix it. But there are many clients that will email me and say, "Hey, can I get a car?" Sure, I'll take care of you. And that's the same thing that goes across for all of our managers or our senior people or my mom or my brother who are my we're the three pillars of BLS where we all have an equal say and we all have to agree on something to move forward and in that regards to that dynamic. But yeah, no, nothing can be beneath you. And you know like right now we had to scale back a little bit, so of course I'm doing things that I wouldn't normally be doing, but that's business. It's a very real,
yeah,
living, breathing thing. If you're not going to take care of it, then no one is.
totally. That kind of brings me to another question I wanted to ask. So, you guys, I guess you would consider yourself a second generation business, but I know your mother, she's still involved
Yep.
in the day to day. Okay.
Yeah. She's definitely involved. She doesn't have a company email address. She says if she just has like a Hotmail address. She said that if the clients are reaching out to me, then there's something really wrong. So whoever is going to text her or email her is going to be a close client friend of hers. But she is very involved. She is the CEO of the company. Um, you know, we will come with ideas. We will confer, but ultimately it's up to her. We firmly believe in there's a lot of hours in the day, and we firmly believe in having multiple sources of income. And yes, we do. Limos is our primary job, and it's something that we absolutely love, and we don't want to stop. But my mom is also a psychic medium, and I
Right.
don't know if you knew that.
No. I
Yeah,
think you had mentioned, I
yeah.
remembered it just because it was so like, you don't hear that very
Yeah,
often.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so
So,
it
unfortunately,
stuck.
my dad passed away in 2018, and my mom, she's kind of always had the ability, but during COVID, she decided that she wanted to learn, and like anything else in this world, she took an online course, and she got mentored by a very famous medium, and she picked it up, and she's doing great, and she's doing, we put her up as Lady Phyllis. We got ladyphyllis.com, and she's doing this kind of like on a part-time thing where it feeds her soul,
Yeah.
and it's a departure away from the stresses of owning this type of business. And whatever it's doing for her, it's working. And it's not really about the money on that aspect. It's just something for her that she needs to do for validation of her spiritual journey.
That's
But it's fun, it's fun because we get to create content with it. We get to, we get to do group readings. And we're all involved with it. We all help, and it's a lot of fun. But my point being is that my brother's a writer. He's written 20 books. He's trying to get a screenplay made in Hollywood. I create a lot of content. We have the podcast.
Yep.
My mom also wrote 75 children's books. So we're all about multitasking and never having a dull moment.
That's awesome. One thing I did want to ask you, kind of related to that, is you grew up with very successful, parents. And so I'm guessing they probably imparted some lessons. What sort of things kind of made an impact with you and your brother, sort of things you've learned from them that you still, maybe to this day, it's a part of your life and a part of who you are?
I mean, it's just too many to count. It's, I owe everything to my folks. They gave my brother and I a beautiful springboard to grow on. And listen, we could have coasted. We could have said, we're not going to hire salespeople. We're just going to coast. We're going to stick with New York, LA, Vegas. We're not going to grow. We're not going to do this stuff anymore. But I mean, I guess the biggest thing that they gave us was the hunger and the drive to try and succeed and to keep going towards our goal of becoming the largest and best car service in the world. We're very spiritual people. We believe in the law of attraction. We believe in prayer. We believe in manifesting things that you want and being positive, but not only being positive, but taking action on your goals.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
think those are big things that they imparted on us. But a lot of it we imparted on them. And my brother wrote a book called Just Ask the Universe. And it was an Amazon bestseller. It sold over 100,000 copies. And basically it's about just asking the universe for the things that you want in this world. And it's a short book. It's basically, like law of attraction for beginners, where it gives instructions on how you ask for things, and then you put yourself in a position to want it. Like, listen, I'm not going to go and ask for $1 billion. It's out of reach, right? At least right now it is. But if you're going to go and ask for something that's just out of reach, that's where the
Yes.
magic happens. And that's what people have to work on manifesting, is that ask for something that's just out of reach. You want that one more car. You want to buy one more Escalade, and you really don't have a clear path on how to do it. Put it on a vision board. Set
Yes.
yourself up for success. Go to the association meetings. Network with other operators. Go to business travel shows. Go show up at the dealer and bring some donuts. They're going to think of you. So if you're going to put yourself in the position to succeed, then you will. It's just that simple.
Yeah. When I was researching, your podcast and everything, that was one thing Bard told me, which completely aligned with you on, made a big difference in my life. I get sometimes the law of attraction gets, they're like, well, you still got to take action. Well, yeah, of course, you still have to take action, but there's something about visualizing, especially when it's a daily practice, and kind of imagining like you already have it, that does do something for
Absolutely.
motivating you on a day-to-day basis. So of course it's about action, but there's some sort of mindset shift I feel that happens when you do, when you make it a daily practice to do those things. I've definitely noticed it. So that's awesome. So I wanted to ask you about, what do you look for when you're looking for affiliates? Like what is some advice maybe the listeners of this channel you could impart on
Sure.
to land, working with a company like yourselves?
It's all about relationship. We have affiliates reaching out to us every single day, and they'll email us once and thinking that that's going to get them the business. I'm sorry to say, that's just not the way the world works. If you want business, you have to email, and then you have to follow up, and then you have to hope and pray that their number one vendor shit the bed, and right at that moment when you're going to email, they're going to think of you. So that's going to be what I suggest as how you can get into any large operator, not just BLS, but any large operator in the market. You got to work it. You got to show up. You got to show up to the association meetings. You got to weasel your way in there. And then once you're in there, you do have to perform. Your cars have to be nice. Chauffeurs have to be great. Service has to be up to par. Got to have some good technology. If you can integrate with whatever software that you have into their software, all of that stuff works, but ultimately what it comes down to is relationship. That when stuff goes wrong, are you going to work with it, or are you going to hold your ground and say, nope, I'm charging? Or are you going to say, I'll work with you because I see the big picture? Are you
Yeah.
going to, you know, if they're going to say, I need a favor? And I don't want to say that it's always like that, because it's not, but this is what makes the world go round everywhere.
Yes. Oh, I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think I asked this. I probably should have had this as one of my first questions.
Sure.
How many vehicles do you currently operate right now, nationwide? And like in comparison, you guys are up there, top 10 largest,
I
um,
would I would think so.
or
We have
top
met, yeah.
five.
I don't know. They always say the size doesn't matter. But you know,
But
we
you're
we
going for number one, right?
yeah, we
So
we are we are.
yeah,
But that doesn't necessarily mean fleet size. You have a lot of brokers
no,
doing a
totally,
lot. You have a lot of brokers doing a lot of business. And a lot would say that you make more money on farming the work out rather than keeping it in house.
totally.
So we have many hundreds of vehicles, many hundreds of employees. But our model has always been to have a mix of both, is to have great affiliate partners and to have vehicles that are in-house.
Yeah.
And you have to have fleet managers managing it, and mechanics and detailers. And in New York, we have body person to knock out dents and do stuff like that. And we have someone in Vegas doing that also. But it just depends upon the market. It depends upon all that type of stuff. But yeah, no, we have a large fleet, and we use Samsara for in-vehicle cameras. We use Santa Cruz as our back office system. Um, Trying to think, we use Ring Central and In Contact for our phone system. In Contact is like it's for like call center queues and stuff like that. It's a bit more
Okay.
advanced than what you can get on out of the box on Ring Central.
Okay.
Um, and one of the most important things that we have is an email ticketing system, because we get thousands and thousands of emails a day, and whether it's from a client or it's from an email, or a client, or from a vendor or from an employee, you have to have a way to track the tickets. So for that, we use Freshworks, and the product that they have is called the Fresh Desk. Very, very
Okay.
important. And I know there are a lot of different services out there that use that, but that is we started using that many, many years ago, and that was a game changer, because before that you would just have one inbox, and then there was just no way to keep track of it. So
Yeah.
that was a big game changer for us.
Is that, I'm guessing that's one of your main roles as a COO, is
Hmm.
finding like the software stack you're going to be using to operate the business and
Yeah.
getting that implemented, working with the vendors who implement
Yep.
it and so forth.
Yeah. 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 I manage operations, fleet, and technology, and some stuff on the billing side. Do a lot of sales. And that's mainly what I've been giving away more of my work operationally, and I've been focusing more on sales, because that's where I feel my time is worth the most. Is
Got
is
it.
just getting new business.
What I always am curious about is, and I get it's been 50 years, but how does someone go from, because at the scale you guys are at operationally, it's so much more complex. Do you guys, or did your father attend like business coaching or mastermind sort of things, or did he just kind of figure it out
Yeah,
with your mother? Or like,
it's a great story. He actually learned it from our clients. My mom grew up in a poor middle, I wouldn't say middle class, but just a poor family. My father was an immigrant who came to the country with nothing. So they didn't have any insights to, owning a house to them was going to be the greatest accomplishment of their life. So through meeting people and driving these people where their kids went to private school, where there was country clubs, and they were eating out 7 nights a week, and they had nannies, and they had all of these things. My dad's like, wait, there's another world here that he didn't
oh,
quite know about, because there was just no exposure to it. Obviously,
oh,
my brother and I were exposed to that stuff earlier in life
yes,
than they were. So it was just, that's kind of the stuff that we grew up with. I'm not saying it was country clubs and babysitters, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't start playing golf till I was 38, 39. So,
No
but
polo or anything like
yeah,
that.
no. So that like my dad liked casinos and gambling and like shooting guns. That was his thing. So, that
Okay.
was fun. But
Nice.
yeah, so the clients showed them that there was another aspect of life that if you that there are certain ways that you can make money, and it's in your mindset, and it's how you work, and it's
Yeah.
the original BLS. I know you were probably going to ask this, but I'll say it. But the original BLS stood for Buyers Limousine Service because he dealt with the buyers in the garment industry. Buyers.
Oh, interesting.
So
Who would have thought?
yes, it was Buyers Limousine Service. They never really took to that explanation. So when I came in, I relabeled it as Business Livery Service, but we only ever say that if somebody asks. It's we just say it's BLS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, I like that.
so yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, that was how they were taught, and that was my dad's goalpost to work towards that you can actually do this thing. And now you have the internet. You go on YouTube. You have 100 ways to get rich,
Oh,
1,000 ways to go make a living.
yeah. There's more opportunity now, I feel like, than there ever really has been.
Yeah,
You can learn
yeah,
everything with a phone in your pocket. Um,
amazing.
yeah, one other thing I wanted, so you guys started the podcast, that was a few years ago, and that was just kind of for fun, like as
Well,
a
you know,
part-time.
the story with with I don't even like calling it a podcast. I like calling it the show.
Or the
Story,
show. Okay.
it's okay. The story with our show was that when we would go out and sell, and we would go and take 20 travel agents to dinner, and we would do our shtick. We would do our show. It's rehearsed. We've done it 100 times, and this is what we would go. And we're like, man, if we could take what we talk about and record it, instead of reaching 20 people, we can reach 200 people, or we can reach 2,000 people, or we can reach 200,000 people. And then we're like, oh, let me start recording. So that took me down the rabbit hole. I became a Gary Vaynerchuk disciple. I don't know if you know Gary V.
Sure. Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I became a disciple of Gary V. He had a contest where if you hashtagged him on all of your content that you were made, he would he would have you come to his office, and you would get like FaceTime with him. I was I was in fourth place, and he picked the top 3 people with the
Oh,
content that I
no.
was putting out. But it was I didn't need to go meet him
Yeah.
to know that what I was doing was working, because he tells you everything on his thing. But yeah, if anyone is looking to go and make content, go look up Gary V. Go, and it's VEE, and go down
Yep.
that rabbit hole. He gives the playbook on how you have to go and make content and be successful. The biggest piece of advice that I can give towards creating content is document, don't create. Creating is very hard. What we're doing here is we're just documenting. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have an hour show. To me, this is, a year's worth of content.
Yeah.
You can go and splice this piece of content up into 100 different ways, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on every single platform. It really is so valuable. And if you are not creating content, somebody in your market is, and they're beating you. There's no doubt
Totally.
about it.
Yeah. And you can't really beat the organic, distribution or whatever for myself. And I have not put a lot of time into the YouTube. It was just kind of like, okay, I should have a YouTube channel, but I'm finding more and more of my customers are coming from there. And so it's got me thinking maybe I should start, reaching out to, industry professionals and getting
Brilliant
other
idea. Yeah, it's a
vantage
great
points.
idea. It's exactly what we did. When we first started the show, we started it before COVID, so this was not a COVID podcast. We started this before COVID. We made a studio inside of our office,
Yeah.
and it started with my brother and I just started talking. For anyone who wants to look up, it's called Okon Bros, OKON Bros. And it's on YouTube. We produce for TikTok and LinkedIn. And basically, what we would go and do is we would create an hour conversation, and then we would go and splice that up and make little mini pieces of content and just disperse it all over the internet. And that's the hard. Recording is easy. This stuff is easy. Post-production, that's hard. Posting it,
Sure.
that takes time. But yeah, that was why we started Okon Bros, was because we're good at what we do, and we're like, if it's good for one person or 20 people, this will be good for everybody. So we took the show
Totally.
on the road, and that's how we started recording, and that turned into once we spoke about everything that we wanted to speak about, once we interviewed all of our close friends and, kind of low hanging fruits, then we started saying, okay, now let's start interviewing people that are really interesting to us, because we're not necessarily doing this to become Mr. Beast or going and get 1 million followers. And while that would be incredibly cool, we're doing this one to grow our business. So it's a very select market that we're actually going after. And then two, which I feel is probably the most important thing, is that we're doing it for legacy, and that we're doing it that I'm going to show my grandkids that they'll be able to see in 2021 during COVID what was going on inside of all of your heads. And they can go onto Okon Bros. And during that time when we were slow, we didn't have much to do. We were recording sometimes 3 days a week. So we have a lockbox of how we felt at the time, what was going on, and like what I would have given to see my parents grow the business from their kitchen table.
Right. Oh man.
And we have that now. And just like this conversation that we're having now, in 100 years with my great grandkids, maybe they're going to go and Google me, and they're going to look it up, and they're going to see, oh man, how did great grandma and great grandpa go and start BLS? What happened with that? And they're going to hear the story that I shared with you. And to me, above anything else, that's the most important thing. And and it rubs off. My son and my daughter started their own podcast. They call it the Zach and,
No,
yeah,
that's
the
awesome.
Zach and Hal show, and I'm training them now on how to edit content, on how to do it right from their phone, and how they can record and they can download it. But these are all essential skills, because I don't want to go too much off topic, but kids these days, they're a touch and swipe generation.
Yeah.
They can't debug a computer. They don't know what a Windows machine is. They don't know what a Mac is. When they're holding a mouse, it's like foreign to them. So teaching them these skills, I think, is invaluable, on how to use a keyboard, how to use a mouse, how to use Microsoft Word, how to use Excel, because these things are not going away, and kids don't know how to do it right now.
Never thought about that. How old are your kids?
My daughter's turning 13 this month, and my son just turned 9.
I never thought about the touch and swipe.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
can't do it. They you would think we're the sweet spot. I don't know how old you are, but
I was born in 83 as well.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So like we're the sweet spot where
Yeah.
we know tech,
Both. We got
and
both sides.
we know the iPad, right? But
Yes.
our kids, they don't know how to fix a router.
Yeah.
They have no idea how to do any of that stuff. So, and
Yeah.
that just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, that they don't know how to do that. They have to learn, because that's the plumbing. Everything to them was just touch. It's crazy.
Totally. Yeah. We had to tinker around when something wasn't working and
Yep.
troubleshoot.
Yep.
And there's a lot of value and not just, consuming content, right? But learning to create content yourself.
Oh, it's invaluable. If you can create content from yourself, you can sell for anything.
Totally.
Anything. All of my mom's business that she's getting with Lady Phyllis, it's all online.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
does she have her own YouTube channel, or is she doing it with you guys?
Well,
She'll be like a guest, I'm guessing.
yeah, we used to do a lot of live shows with her. We stopped doing the live shows because it just got too stressful. So we
Yeah.
like to pre-record now and edit if we need to.
Sure.
So, but what we do with what she does is, she literally has this. I bought her a stand, I bought her a ring light, and she'll go and record video. And then she'll go and send it to our editor, and he'll go and make a clip for her, and then we'll go and post it across all social media. So you don't even need a podcast per se, or a show per se. You can just make microbits of content and go and post it online.
Sure. And your iPhone, the camera's so good,
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible. It really is.
yeah. No, I got a second phone, and I have a whole setup here that and
Very nice.
I got wireless mics. So my brother and we actually just recorded in the back of a BLS car. So we recorded a show on the way into a meeting where Michael, myself, and my mom were going in. So we had the mics, and we just recorded on the way there. So that was another episode. So it's about documenting, not creating. And it's, once you look at it that way, it's very, very easy, and you can make content out of anything. We just recorded an episode on the golf course. And while it's, while you're you can't worry about what you're recording, because it's all in the post. It's all in the post production. It's you grab that perfect 30 seconds, and you go and post it. And then let's say you post something and then it goes viral. I've had posts on TikTok that got 2, 3, 4 million views. Those are the posts that you go and spend advertising on. Those are
Yes,
because you know that it works organically. It's going to kill being paid for. Um,
totally.
that's that's what it's all about.
No, I love that. And while this is kind of a little bit off topic, more car service professionals should be kind of thinking outside the box. I have a client in Florida and he started a YouTube channel, and I thought this was brilliant. He gets permission, of course, but he'll talk to a client, say, hey, I have a YouTube channel. We do reviews of like Disney cruises and of, people going to Disney World. And so what he'll actually do is he will like ask them, how was your trip or whatever. And I forget the name of it now, but it's brilliant. And a lot of his videos have gotten several hundred views, more than a lot of mine. And he was saying, well, think about it. How many people that go to Disney World spend the 10 months prior researching every detail of their trip? And so this is, rather than going on Reddit or going on some TripAdvisor or something like that and reading a review, you actually get someone telling you about their experience on a particular cruise line, or a particular hotel that they stayed at next to Disney World, or what have you. And eventually, I know this is what's going to happen. Eventually, he'll gain traction on like TripAdvisor. People say, "Oh, have you seen this guy? You should use him." And that brings his client acquisition cost. Like, it takes time and editing, right? So there is time involved, but he's already doing the rides, right? So it really is just the editing and him getting kind of past the, I'm sure it wasn't comfortable asking people at first, hey, would you mind? But he said some people are more than happy to do it. They're excited to do it, and they're looking forward to when their video's coming out. You don't realize it, but probably only a few percentage of people actually create the content that everyone else watch it. Right.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
No, there's a huge disparity between people that consume and people that create. And sometimes I feel like I'm not even doing enough content. So because it's great. I think single-handedly, for me personally, posting content on LinkedIn has been really successful and really good in reaching our client base.
Really?
Yeah, and it's good for Facebook too, because I'll try and connect with our clients on Facebook on a personal level, and I'll share some of that stuff there, but I don't like to post too much on there. But LinkedIn, where it's all business, but if you can go and create content and go and post it onto LinkedIn, that's where the corporate customers live, that's where the meeting planners live, that's where they all live, even in local law firms, travel agents, cruise line people. That's where they are. And you connect with your people that you want to connect with, and then you start posting content, and then it gets to a certain point where they know you before you know them. And once you do
Yes.
that, it creates a comfort level that that you're more than likely going to win the account. And it's the same thing with getting vendors, same thing with getting employees. In a roundabout way, the best thing that the podcast or the show gave us was not clients, but actually salespeople.
Oh,
So
wow.
where you can go and find a salesperson that has had a 20-year career that's not happy with where they are, and you can go and make a deal with them, and you can have a match made in heaven. But if you're not going to put yourself out there, you're never going to meet that person.
Yeah, no, I love that. Really, oh yeah, a lot changed for me. I don't have that many viewers, but you go to the
Viewers
Limo
don't matter.
show. Yeah. And
No,
that's why you can't get obsessed about that, right?
no. Viewers don't matter. Do you realize reaching 250 people? Do you realize how many people that actually is?
Yeah.
It's
That
it's
I
a
never
it's a
thought of it
lot.
like that. That's true. It's
It's a
like you're
lot of
speaking
people.
to if you get 500 views on video, it might not seem like much because you see these influencers who have millions, but it's still a very large room of people, right?
It's an enormous amount of people, but you need one. You need that one person who's going to give you that account. You need that one whale. You need that one
Yes.
person that's going to go and use that sprinter for 12 hours a day for a week. and
Yeah.
they're online. Listen, not some of the people are online. Everybody's on their phone. Not
Yeah.
some, everybody. And they're either on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on X, they're on Threads, they're on YouTube. That's not where some of the people are. That's where they all are. You just have to find them. And the only way you're going to find them is by creating content and then using paid, like for what you do. And we did use your services for a while, but again, as the conversation that we were having about that for us, you have to have the closer on the other end. And
Yes.
currently, our closers are too busy doing other things, so it just wasn't the right fit for now. But everybody, marked product works. He does a great job. If you can close, if you can close the emails and the calls that you get on the other end, he'll get you the leads. But you have to have the resources to close
Totally.
out that transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I found the funny thing is, we just started working with most of our clients are, I would say, small to medium size operators. And every so often we'll work with a larger company. And there's always like a challenge because there's got to be one person assigned, or
Yep.
here's what I always recommend. And a lot of companies are like, well, no, we have a few people that do this sort of thing. It's like, if you assign it to multiple people, then no one's really responsible. Right. And so, but you guys, you listen. The great thing about working with Eric, to anyone watching this, is I told him what I recommended and he followed it to the T. He was like, well, you're the pro, you've done this before. What I get a lot of times is, well, this is kind of how our business works. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll try to fit what they're doing, but it usually works best when one person is responsible. That's what you guys did. And so, but I get it. It's always you have to find the right person in the right market who can handle it. And yeah,
You got to be a
sometimes
closer. You got to be a closer. You
totally
have to have the personality to go and close it. But yeah, no, Mark's product is great. Can't say enough good things about it.
awesome. So, Okon Brothers Podcast, OKON Brothers Podcast. Where else can people find you online? You have a TikTok and Instagram, or
Yeah, yeah, you just look up Eric Okon on TikTok, on LinkedIn. It's Eric Okon as well. ERIC OKON. And yeah, those are going to be the places where I live the most. And you can look up our company. It's blsco.com, or you can go at BLS Limo. And if you want to become an affiliate, keep trying, keep hitting us up. And
yeah,
and then you can try and get in there. We're always looking for new vendors, and you may strike lightning quickly, or sometimes you may have to keep trying, but keep trying if you want it. And yeah, I look forward to meeting all my industry peers at the shows, and and seeing everybody online.
awesome. Are you going to Orlando? That's where the next one is, right?
Yeah, what date is that?
I think it's the end of October, the 25th or the 22nd through the 25th or so. I just got asked today myself. I haven't made plans yet.
I don't know if it's gonna work. There's another trade show in Vegas. We may send somebody from BLS there, maybe one of our affiliate managers, to the show, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to that one.
Okay. Well, the one after that we'll have to, which I don't think is going to be in Vegas. You're probably always at the main one though, right?
I always go to Vegas. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Vegas?
Right. So. Cool. Thanks so much for your time, Eric.
I appreciate you thinking of me, and this was a blast. You did a great job, and now you got to work on cutting this up into small little bits.
Yeah, no, exactly. And distributing it out. That's a great piece of advice. Cool, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.